Joining us now from Washington, where I am, Congressman, 9th District Republican, Morgan Griffith. Congressman, great to have you.
Great to be with you. It's been a few weeks.
So much to talk about, so little time. Let's start with Joe Day yesterday. What a victory. I mean, what a miracle. Biden pulls this off in 72 hours. I've never seen, I was telling everybody, Congressman, I got 178 emails, I counted them, from the Joe Biden campaign between Saturday afternoon and yesterday at midnight. I got 178, 175 of them touting the people that were endorsing him. I've never seen an avalanche like this in my life. And Biden, a big victory. Looks like he's going to be the guy. What do you say?
Well, I mean, that's certainly the case. I wouldn't count Sanders out just yet, but he's certainly put together an impressive display. Biden won California. What's really interesting to me is that while, we can argue whether Texas and Georgia, are in play and other southern states are in play for the Democrats, Biden's strength is really coming from areas that Trump is likely to win the state.
That's true.
And so it's kind of interesting. I don't know how that will impact the thoughts of Democrats in the fall election. But here's what I was saying before the results came in last night. I was telling a group of people I was with, I want Biden. Everybody thinks Sanders is the way for Trump to go, and it's true, we can talk about socialism, but young people today, they don't remember like you and I do, and I think you mentioned this on the air a few weeks back. They don't remember that people would line up for hours and around the block if there was a rumor that a department store in Moscow was getting toilet paper in. They don't remember that. Mm-hmm. They don't think it could happen here because they don't remember that Venezuela used to be one of the wealthiest per capita countries in South America before the socialists took over. Mm-hmm. So I actually think it would be a harder sell because Bernie has always been consistent in what he has said, and there are no major scandals that I'm aware of out there. And yet with Joe Biden, this Ukraine thing isn't going to go away. And I, as you know, on your show have said before, I could make a defense for Hunter Biden. Somebody wants to offer you money to do something you don't know how to do, $50,000 a month. What red-blooded American ain't going to take it? Mm-hmm. But his father clearly
they wanted to pay it, right?
Ethics.
They wanted to pay it. He took it. Fine. There's nothing illegal there. But ethical. I mean, Joe Biden takes Hunter to China. They come out of China. He goes on Air Force Two with him. He comes out. He gets $1.5 billion investment into an equity company that he knew nothing about from the Bank of China, from the communists. Joe Biden is in charge of Ukraine. Takes Hunter Biden, never been there, never seen anything. They offer him $50,000. Obviously, that was questionable judgment, to say the least, by the vice president. But look,
question was clearly, it may not have violated any laws, although that's an issue others will have to decide, but it clearly was a conflict of interest and violated normal ethical standards. And here's the problem that Joe Biden's going to have with this. And maybe it doesn't apply to the rest of Virginia, but in my district, the average household income is in the neighborhood of $42,000, $43,000 a year. Household income. Joe Biden's son was getting $50,000 a month.
Yeah, to do nothing.
How are they going to sell that? How are they going to sell it? They're not going to sell it. And I think we're going to get even bigger numbers in my district. Now, we get big numbers anyway. I don't want to mislead your listeners. But we're going to get bigger numbers in my district, at least percentage-wise, because there are going to be some folks who are just totally put off. Maybe they don't like Trump for whatever reason, but they can't vote for somebody who would cross that line. That is such an obvious line that you don't cross. You say, if let's assume for the sake of argument it was the right policy to get rid of that prosecutor. I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying if it were, then the average person would say, look, my son's doing some business over there. Either let me check into it before I do anything, or you better get the Secretary of State to handle that. Mr. President, I'm sorry, but my son's involved over there. How about sending over a special envoy or the Secretary of State? Or why don't you pick up the phone and do it yourself instead of having me do it, because that's not right. And Don't forget, it wasn't just once. It wasn't just the time he went over there and said, I'm going to take my $1 billion and get back on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
In the same comment, he says, we'd called him 11 or 12 times. He had conversations repeatedly about getting rid of that prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
And then went over there live and said, the money's going back with me to D.C. You don't believe me? Call the president. He should never have been involved in that. A clear ethics violation. And for the Democrats who want to say that for whatever reasons, and I don't agree with them, that, Trump is doing things for his kids who were already multimillionaires before they ever got started and have business experience, that argument just goes away because Joe Biden completely protected his son, who was making $50,000 a month with no experience and no real knowledge to bring to the table. And like I said, I don't blame Hunter for taking the money, but when Joe takes action, that makes it wrong.
I think the other reality here is there was a view of entitlement. See, all this is going to come out in the campaign, and as you relate it back to your 9th District, Congressman Morgan Griffith, I agree with you. Because Joe Biden had a sense of entitlement. I've been here for 50 years. I've served the country. I went back on Amtrak every day. I did the right thing. Now my family's entitled to make money any way that they can. Being fired from China, $50,000 a month from Ukraine. I'm entitled. That's why he didn't flag it. That's why he didn't stop it. That's why he didn't talk to his son about it. He's entitled, right? That's when we talk about the swamp. There it is. People go there. They're there for a while, and then they're like, I'm entitled to making X amount of money like everybody else does. I'm entitled to it. That's what happened, and he's going to have to answer for that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that, and it's going to be an interesting year.
Let me just tell you the other thing about this this Biden thing, because I agree with you. I've always thought that Biden was an easier candidate. Like, if you were giving me the choice, who do you want to go up against? Biden, because Sanders has a movement. It's dangerous. He could get young people. People will work for him. They're excited about him. You look at Biden. Everybody's backing him is the establishment, the entire establishment apparatus, the apparatchiks of the DNC. I mean, this guy generates zero excitement. Here's the other thing, right? There's been, 8 debates? Biden had one debate where I thought he was coherent, which was a South Carolina debate. He did okay. The other debates, he was a disaster. So now he's got to continue. Now he's got to debate Sanders one-on-one, right? That's one thing.
Right.
He's not going to have Beth Warren going around eating up all the time, taking the attention off him, going after Bloomberg, because I don't think Mike stays in. There's just no rationale for that, and it's becoming embarrassing for him now. So he gets out. They're going to have other debates.
Political malpractice.
Exactly. I mean, look, I'm all for spending money, doing whatever you want. It's, your money. But $500 million, you win 25 delegates. I don't know what the rationale is.
Well, he's running anti-gun ads in the Roanoke TV market. Okay, that's malpractice.
Pretty much so. I mean, even John Edwards didn't vote for that, Morgan. Let's get to some of the other issues here. The coronavirus. Look, I've been at all the press conferences. What is it that the Democrats want the president to do that he's not doing? Can you help me understand it?
Well, they just want to be able to complain. This is the kind of stuff you never see in the Post. A Post reporter stopped me last week and said, are there people who are unhappy in the Republican ranks with the president's actions? And I said, no. And I said, maybe the Speaker of the House needs to read the Constitution. All spending bills begin in the House.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have a problem, if Nancy Pelosi has a problem with the dollar amount, where's her spending bill?
Right.
Because the president can suggest, the president can ask, but Nancy Pelosi, as Speaker of the House, has the ability to put a bill into the Appropriations Committee with whatever dollar amount she wants. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're going to eventually get to. Mm-hmm. A bill that's crafted between the House and the Senate, between Schumer and McConnell and Pelosi and the House Republicans. Mm-hmm. In the House, they've got the advantage. In the Senate, we have the advantage. But they're going to try to work something out, and that's where we ought to be. This ought to be about fixing all the problems that we can. This is a virus. We can't solve all of it. it's not about the president doing this or doing that. And furthermore, I told the Post, I said, in the Committee of Jurisdiction on Health Issues, I serve on that subcommittee of Energy and Commerce, we asked for a hearing on this weeks ago. And in fact, asked them, why aren't we doing a coronavirus hearing on February 14th? In the hearing, and we were in a hearing, we said, why are we doing this hearing? That hearing was about abortion rights. The Democrats were more concerned about having a hearing on abortion rights than they were about coronavirus. So don't be coming to us 2 weeks later, 1st of March, saying, oh, the president hasn't done what he should have done. No. If there is any blame to be had in Washington, it lies in the United States House of Representatives, and it lies with the Democrat majority. Now, it shouldn't be political. We should just work to get it done. But they're the ones who started throwing stones at that glass house saying the president didn't do what he was supposed to. No, Nancy, you didn't do what you were supposed to.
Are they weaponizing this virus?
I think they were, and then I think they started backing off. I'm hopeful that they've backed off and realized that this is too serious a matter for people to be playing political games with. Now, I don't want people to panic. There's all kinds of interesting data going on out there. They're looking for things. We're getting the private industry involved because the government can't solve it all. We don't even have enough tests, so private industry is coming up with tests. We're trying to shortcut the approval of those tests because you can carry the virus with no symptoms. It appears up to 21 days. You can carry it and spread it before you have symptom 1, and that can be 3 weeks. That's what makes this scary is that, normally if you quarantine somebody, they were originally quarantined for 14 days. We now find it maybe as long as 21. Or you have a symptom, you say, okay, I'll stay home. You don't have any symptoms at all. And you're out there spreading the virus, and you have no way of knowing it. We need to get the testing out there. The president's doing what he can from the government side. We need to shortcut some of these regs, get the FDA to say, okay, if you have a new way to test, get it out there. Vaccines are going to take a little bit longer, but people just need to be careful, wash hands, do all of the things that you would normally do if there were a flu epidemic coming through, or and do the best we can. There's some interesting stuff, John, that I get all geeked out about. For some reason, it doesn't seem to be a major problem for children under 9. Now, that may change in the next few weeks.
Now, why is that?
But we don't know. We have no idea. It does affect the elderly extensively. People who have, already have problems, particularly breathing issues. It affects them dramatically. We don't know. Normally, when you see a flu come through, it hits the old and the young pretty hard.
Right now, it's only hitting the old.
Right now. Now, it may change. The data may change. It's all new. But for some reason, thus far, there have been no fatalities anywhere in the world of a child under the age of 9, which is completely different than most flu outbreaks.
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth Across America, live Washington, D.C. We're with Republican Congressman Morgan Griffith, 9th District, that's Southwest Virginia. So, Congressman, look, I was at the president's press conference. He asked for, $2.8 billion. And this is about a week ago. I was there. I actually got to ask a question. And he was asked by several of the reporters in that, look, Nancy Pelosi says the money isn't enough. So does Rosa DeLauro. They want $15 billion. They want $8 billion. Senator Kennedy from Louisiana said it should be $7 billion, not $2.5 billion. And the president said, great, I'll take the money. Just appropriate it, send it over. Happy to have it. Okay, where's the bill?
Yeah, well, we're working on it. In all fairness, the Democrats are trying not to do a straight bill. They're trying to add in a lot of add-ons, different things related to anything medical. They're trying to add it on, and there's a big battle going on behind the scenes to try to get, all the crazy stuff out of the bill. So we could have the bill if they would just do a straight spending bill, but they're putting all kinds of extra things in there, and that's what's slowing it down behind the scenes. But everybody is working on it, and there is, I think, good faith negotiations, from best I can tell, going on as we speak.
What do you see in Virginia yesterday? This is a massive victory by Joe Biden. He won everywhere, right? I think Sanders won one precinct in Richmond City or something. Biden wins everything in Virginia. A lot of us think Virginia is going to be competitive for President Trump in 2020 because of the gun issue. And I think we're going to have a huge turnout in Southwest Virginia, South Central Virginia, Southside Virginia, bigger than we had the last time. And the way I look at it, in 2016, I was a chairman. We lost Virginia by 4.5. I had to deal with Terry McAuliffe, who was Clinton's chairman, who was the governor. We had to deal with Tim Kaine, senator from Virginia, who was VP. Biden, the former VP, and Kaine campaigned in Virginia Sunday and Monday, the final 2 days. It was a lot we had to contend with. And Clinton had a lot of people enthusiastic about her. I think that was her high watermark. I think we get more votes over the gun issue. Can Virginia be competitive in 2020?
It can be. It doesn't mean it will be. But I think it can be. I think you're right. People who thought that, raising the gun issue was just a scare tactic by Republicans now realize that it was true. It was serious. The Democrats in Richmond have proven that and established that. I think that has gotten a lot of people concerned. A lot of the other issues have gotten people who were just voting reflexively because they didn't like some of President Trump's tweets now realize that issues matter. And I think that will change some of that. You're right about not having that VP on the ticket, assuming that they don't put a Virginian on there again. I think all of that helps. That being said, it is about us getting out, and it's about whether or not the Democrats are energized. Now, I will tell you, that's one thing where if Biden is the nominee also helps us, and that is that the people who are coming out are afraid of Sanders, and they've come out to stop him. That's where the excitement for Biden comes. It's just stop Sanders. Once he's stopped, these are not the people who've been doing the work on the ground. Even in my district, it's the Bernie Sanders people who've been working on the ground, not the establishment Democrats. So, what happens to those Bernie Sanders workers? They're all going to vote for the Democrat. They just I think they dislike Trump so much they'll vote for the Democrat. But will they get out and do the door-to-door work? Will they go to the rallies? Will they show up to get the work done? Mm-hmm. I'm going to think they don't. And I do think the people who are upset, the 20,000 plus, and it may have been as many as 30, that showed up in Richmond on Gun Rally Day, they're all going to be working, every last one of them. Yeah. And I think that gives us an excitement factor. An energy factor on the ground, the grassroots, that we didn't have last time. We had some of that, but we didn't have it nearly to the extent we have now. So we didn't have it.
We certainly didn't have it coalesced. And
no.
Look, I think we've all found out over the years in politics that paid staffers knocking on doors, like Bloomberg had all these paid staffers in Virginia. What they say they knocked on 500,000 doors or something. These are paid people. They were getting $6,000-$7,000 a month to knock on doors. They went, they knocked on the door, they handed this literature out, they checked the box, they got their check. Not the same as when you got volunteers out there that have a passion for what they're doing. It's very different. And I think you saw that in Virginia and the other states where Bloomberg had the army, he had the resources, he had the ads, he had the offices, he had the infrastructure, he had the data. He just didn't get the votes. End of story. Congressman, we're out of time. Always a pleasure, sir. John Fredericks Radio Network.